on the second day of the 12th edition of the E-SISTEP, who's held here in Morocco. So the general thematic of this workshop is how can the Kingdom of Morocco take advantage and cooperate with the very well-known technological ecosystem industry 4.0 in Israel. Of course, a country that's among the strongest and the most innovative countries in the world. Actually, it's the 7th on the ranking of Bloomberg Innovative Index for 2021, and a lot of innovation takes part there. And it's a good opportunity today, actually, to discuss this, to discuss the ways of enhancing cooperation in technological field between Morocco and Israel, especially since the signature of cooperation between both countries in December 2020. But before speaking of cooperation, I'm very pleased to welcome again His Excellency David Gauvrin. He's the chargé d'affaires at the Israel Embassy in Rabat. Welcome again. And as well as Enat Levy, his advisor. So maybe, Your Excellency, so how things are going, how things are evolving since the December 2020. It's almost a year since these accords have been signed. So how things are evolving?
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Our bilateral relationship are moving forward very nice, very fast. We are very much encouraged by what we have achieved so far. Let me give you a couple of examples. We have signed on almost 20 agreements and memorandum of understandings in various issues. We are deepening our cooperation and in other issues, which I will mention in a minute. And we are one of the main things that we are doing right now is exploring the opportunities for expanding our cooperation. We have signed on economic and commercial agreements, like, for example, agreements that are related to investment, taxes, customs, so on and so forth. We are about to sign a very significant agreement during the upcoming visit of our economy minister. She is supposed to be here at either the end of this month, or at the beginning of next one. We have signed on an agreement on aviation and on cyber cooperation, on cooperation with education, youth, so on and so forth. We are working on different platforms, and one has to remember in mind that only 9 months have passed since we signed the joint declaration. I mean, let's take it into the right perspective. What is very much important is that I could notice the good faith and the great desire from both sides to promote the bilateral cooperation. And this is a great feeling, to be here. And I'm very privileged that I was asked to come here and to fulfill this assignment, because I see the potential is huge. And we are just at the beginning. I mentioned the aviation agreement. As you know, in this field, usually there are a couple of agreements, but according to the agreement that we have already signed, we succeeded to launch for the first time in the history of the two countries, of the relationship between the two countries, we succeeded to launch direct flights. They have already started. I myself took El Al flight and came here last time when I arrived. It's a great pleasure. We have never had this kind of direct flights, and of course the importance of having direct flights is as such. First of all, of course, it's It will encourage the flow of tourists from both countries, either Israelis that come and visit Morocco or Moroccans that come and visit Israel. This is, of course, from the touristic economic point of view. But I think that the other consequence is not less important. And what I mean is that people from both countries will have the opportunity to engage, to talk, to know each other. And I think that this is very important, the personal engagement.
The personal engagement and your presence here at the E-SISTEP since yesterday, the launch of this very important industrial meeting and the workshop that's going to start anytime soon. So all of this is part of accelerating the cooperation. But you said, yeah, we're just at the beginning, but many things have happened those past 10 months or 9 months, Your Excellency.
Yes, absolutely. And we are in a stage where we bring here on a constant basis delegations, businessmen, and the representatives of the civil society to encounter their Moroccan counterparts. One has to remember that we still have to face the corona circumstances, yes, which delay to a certain extent the arrival of some delegations and some people, definitely businessmen, but still I can assure you that I meet many representatives from different Israeli companies that come here to discuss with their Moroccan friends and colleagues and to see what can be done. I think that we are talking about, we have talked about the bilateral cooperation, but when we are talking about Israel and Morocco, one has to bear in mind that there is also a potential in cooperating in the continent of Africa. And this is also something that we have to see how that can be done. Israel has diplomatic relations in Africa with almost 20 countries. Morocco has, I believe, much more. And Morocco is very much involved in Africa, not only politically, not only diplomatically, but also economically and culturally. And we have started also this kind of braining storm. We had consultations between the two foreign ministries just 3 months ago. That was very productive, and we also try to see what can be done in this particular aspect.
Okay, so my next question is to your advisor, Your Excellency Govran. So, as an advisor, so how would you advise him enhancing this Morocco-Israel cooperation? Very stupid question, I know, but I believe that the answer is going to be very smart.
Well, I want to start first with thanking you for making this event happen, because I think you are a pioneer, not giving up because of COVID and making a space to do business together. And you earned the title in the newspaper, Virtual Comeback, right? Yes. This was the title. So thank you to the E-SISTEP team and to all the partners. And I want to share a few of the guidelines that we have in the way we promote doing business between the countries, and then a few new services that we are giving as part of our office here in Morocco. The first guideline that we have is that we are still in a learning phase, and this is a mutual challenge that we share, Israel and Morocco. For 20 years, there were no economic relations almost between the countries, and to do business, you have to be able to recognize opportunities, and right now it's not so easy, and it's good to acknowledge that we are in this position, and just to be open for learning. We are students. This is my first advice. The second thing, which is unique to Israel and Morocco, is that the economic interests are well mixed with cultural affiliation. We are not just doing business. It's more. It's mahba. Mashi salam mahba. This is love, and there are actually some Israelis who wants to do business with Morocco, not just because of the high potential, also because they want Morocco in their lives. And this is something special. We are under the foreign ministry, but I think I can speak on behalf of both of us. We put the emphasis on the relationship, which takes into account both countries, and it's very important. And I think another change of mindset that we are trying to do is to change the way Morocco is perceived in the Israeli mindset. Until now, until the signature of the agreement, it was some sort of a nostalgic past. We want Morocco to be a present and a future also for Israelis to be engaged with. And from here, I want to share with you the set of services that we offer from now on as part of our office to any enterprise or someone who wants to do business between Israel and Morocco. The first thing is if you encounter any trade barrier, because it's new, we have to remember there was no direct trade until now for 20 years. We are doing it from the beginning. Please, we are the address. If you have any problem, contact us. We give consultations, whether it's in-house by our team, or also we have a set of external experts that will be happy to give some consultation. In some cases, we are also ready to open the doors and make contacts with either Israeli or Moroccan companies, and also with the major economic players, and sharing some useful information, whether we are talking about distributors or service providers, or just a list of mega and giga projects that can be the next opportunity. We also can share information regarding local and international events. I think these are the spaces for doing business, and we track them, and you can feel free to contact us in any of these services. So thank you.
And you must be very busy, like your agenda must be very full. So yes, you've been speaking about like gathering people together, either in events, virtual events, or like this one, physical events. And the point is, let me all take you right now to Tel Aviv to join one of your colleagues at the, or not really colleague, but Tamar Saraga, who's the Innovation Scouting Advisor and board member of the Morocco Chamber of Commerce. She's right now online, on air with us with some very some experts, because as I mentioned before, the workshop is about innovation, and it's one of, I do believe, the major cooperation aspects. Oh, here she is. Hi, Tamar.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, Madame Khadija Hassan, I hope you hear me. Bon après-midi, and merci. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased. I'm really very pleased to first to thank very much the organizer of the event, of this event, and with the very warm welcome that the Israeli delegation has received since yesterday. And I'm very pleased now to lead this broadcasting live from the Startup Nation Central Studio here in Tel Aviv, which is the cosmopolitan center of Israel on the shores of our common Mediterranean. And so we will, as a continuation of this workshop, we will first have a presentation of this Israeli innovation ecosystem with a focus on Industry 4.0, which is the main topic of this event. And then we will have a panel with some Israeli companies to illustrate that. So I will first hand over to Yariv Lotan, who is Strategic Development Director at Startup Nation Central, to make us this presentation. Yariv, over to you, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Tamar, and welcome our Moroccan friends. Marhaba, welcome to Israel, and welcome to Startup Nation Central. Before I start, I would like to tell you a little bit about Startup Nation. Well, today is another very unique occasion where we open another bridge, a new bridge of innovation between Morocco and Israel. And we'll focus on industry and Industry 4.0 today, as this is our audience. And we hope this will lead to many cooperations, many collaborations to come in these fields and many others. So first, let's talk about Startup Nation. So Startup Nation Central is an independent, non-government organization inspired by the best-selling book Startup Nation. What we do is we connect Israeli innovation and global challenges. We do that in multiple ways. We host delegations from multinationals. We help investors. We help the ecosystem. We help companies here. We host governments and other NGOs. We hold events like these and conferences, and we deal with helping, connecting, and collaboration in these fields. And the main way we started off with is we understood that in order to promote this ecosystem, to generate more business opportunities, and to drive more capital into Israel, we need to make this ecosystem transparent, accessible, collaborative. And the way we went about it was to really develop a very unique platform, an innovation discovery platform we called Startup Nation Finder, which is really probably the best way for everyone to understand the ecosystem and monitor the trends, and then go into discovery of specific companies and specific areas they're interested in, leading to connections with these companies or investors or multinationals, all the way to collaboration that starts from pilots, goes into investments and other commercial agreements. So this platform, open online, free to everyone, really covers the entire ecosystem. Almost 7,000 companies, hundreds of investors, hundreds of multinationals, and then hubs and accelerators and incubators, and even academic IP handbook. And we cover all this to make everyone very easy and very comfortable in really exploring the ecosystem. So please use it. It's open, it's free. You can easily find it on Google. So without further ado, over the next few minutes, I would like to give you really a bird's eye view of the Israeli economy, the Israeli innovation ecosystem, and we'll end up with focusing on the Industry 4.0 sector, and even get to some stories. And at the end, I promise a very interesting announcement. So if you look at the global map, Israel is a very, very small place. We need a very, very thin pin to pin it. We'll find a small country with 9 million people, 4 million in workforce, and only several hundreds of thousands working in the high-tech workforce. So why is that so interesting and so important for us? Why has Startup Nation been focusing on developing the Startup Nation and helping the different stakeholders continue and thrive? Well, this is because with less than 10% of the workforce, the high-tech ecosystem actually generates almost 13% of GDP and over 50% of total annual exports. This is why this ecosystem is so important to the economy, and this is why we at Startup Nation Central are committed to continue helping this already thriving ecosystem continue to grow. I want to throw another metric at you. When we look at innovation ecosystems, we often look for rankings. So here I present the 2021 Bloomberg Innovation Index, an index that is annualized or normalized for a country's population, and really covers the competitiveness and the innovativeness of ecosystem around the world. And Israel is ranked number 7, but that is not a real story. The real story is how Israel's ecosystem, high-tech ecosystem, is so unique. Whereas most other countries here, basically their innovation ranking is based on the work generated in big corporations. In Israel, this innovation index is driven by startups, small companies developing new and innovative and disruptive technologies. Another way to look at it is really to understand that our innovation ranking really stems from a diversity of sectors in which Israeli companies cover. Whereas in Switzerland, for example, as you can see, number 3 on the list, when you try to understand what's behind this ranking, you would find basically the fact that they have the highest number of pharma and life science patents registered by Swiss companies. Whereas in Israel, as I said before, innovation comes from agri-tech, from water tech, from food, from fintech, from communications, from Industry 4.0, and many other areas. So this is, in a way, one way to understand how unique the Israeli ecosystem, how different it is, and how it differentiates from other ecosystems. And what's behind it? Well, Israel is second in its R&D expenditure. When I say that, I mean civilian R&D expenditure, not defense R&D expenditures. We have nearly 7,000 innovative companies, which make us probably the most density, the country with the most density of startups in the world. And when we look at the real numbers, what fuels this ecosystem is VC investments, venture capital investments. And here Israel is leading the pack by leaps and bounds, way ahead of the US and most other countries, or every other country. And this really tells the story of how the global investors, the VC confidence, the investor confidence in Israel is tremendously high right after the US. This is very unique for a small country. If we drill down again into the investor landscape, again, what fuels the growth of this ecosystem, we find approximately 1,000 investors participating in different deals every year here in Israel. And what you can see here is that nearly 60% of investor participation in deals in Israel, in the high-tech sector, comes from foreign investors, and over 85% of the funding is actually foreign and doesn't originate even from Israel, but keeps promoting this ecosystem into higher accomplishments and peaks, as you will see later on. The other aspect of developing the innovation value, of developing this ecosystem, are notably the multinationals, the big corporations that are the greatest access into the global markets. And for someone coming from a small country, that's very important. The ability to work with all these companies when they are only as long as 1 hour away. And what we see here, we have over 500 multinationals already located and operating in Israel, when 350 of them have an R&D center in Israel. And if you can see in the graph, the tremendous growth, the fast growth of the number of those multinationals with R&D centers in Israel. And all of these really represent two major things. One is obviously the access to global markets, but the other one is also educating the startups, the entrepreneurs, in the needs of those markets. And that is very important for entrepreneurs working in Israel. And that's what allows them to think globally, effectively, from day one. If we look at maturity and growth, and this has become a very important theme in the last few years, looking at the scale-up companies, the companies that are leaders in their niche, then the gold standards for growth entrepreneurs and growth companies is to be listed on NASDAQ, as you will also hear later from our friends here in our dimension. Well, Israel has maintained its third position with the number of listed companies on NASDAQ after the US and after China. That is something we are very proud of, but also something that shows the confidence of investors and allows investors to repeat and invest more and more in the Israeli economy and the high-tech sector. Now, with your permission, let's dive into the Industry 4.0 sector. I think that the most surprising fact that I can share with you is that when we conducted the survey, trying to understand the percentage of VC investments worldwide by country and not pro rata to the population, simply on absolute numbers, we found that Israel is enjoyed the third highest VC investment worldwide after US and China, which are naturally very industrial, but way before Germany and India and many other countries. And that is something that puzzled us to understand why it is. But then when you look, and we think that the explanation for that in Industry 4.0 is initially a digital revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is a digital revolution that is based on data, on digital, on sensors, on communication, on AI and machine learning. All of these are core capabilities, core IP that has been developed and been leading in different sectors. So AI developed for automotive, or sensor developed in agri-tech, and many other fields. All of these really were pivoted to industry and allowed Israeli startups to be leaders and for Israel to become a leading hub for industrial innovation, despite the fact that Israel does not enjoy a very significant industry infrastructure. Now let's talk about the active Israeli companies in the sector. So as you can see here, we mapped over 280 companies in Israel doing Industry 4.0 solutions. And basically, when we try to look at the Industrial Revolution, we divide it into three pillars. The companies dealing with operational excellence, dealing with yield and productivity, with quality, availability, supply chain, and logistics, and energy, obviously. The second pillar is the pillar that deals with the digital transformation. Initially, the core fuel for this revolution, the ability to translate operations into data, into digital data, and reports from analog to digital. All of these allows the industry to collect information, to analyze it, to predict outcomes, and then to react. That's basically the roadmap for the I4 revolution and development. And many companies are only at the beginning of that graph of the roadmap. So we find Israeli companies mapped all across the value chain, trying to help and innovate all across the value chain. But the main focus, as you will see also later, is around operation optimization, is around cybersecurity, which is no surprise, and also around IoT solutions and connectivity. Also interesting to understand is that Industry 4.0 is really sort of a mega sector. It's a mega sector in the sense that it covers all industrial verticals, from energy to automotive, all the way down to transportation, logistics, and water. And when we mapped out, we found solutions that Israeli I4 companies offer that cover all of these verticals. And it's important to understand that a company that really offers a solution can offer the same solution in different verticals that would demand separate implementation, a tailored implementation, understanding a new world, implementing machine health in chemicals and in automotive or life sciences is altogether different and needs to be adapted. And companies need to focus on one vertical at a time and offer these solutions for them to be valuable for large industry and even small industry to easily implement. So we find all of this covered by Israeli companies. And when we look at the subsectors mentioned, as I said, you would see that operation optimization is really the core heart, what really is behind the operational excellence I mentioned, together with maintenance and other aspects like supply chain. We see cybersecurity, which is just growing in its importance. We open up our industries and our plants to transfer data in and out, and we basically open it up also to threats and the ability to protect operational assets has become even more important than ever before due to the COVID acceleration of digital transformation. But you also ask yourself, why is that happening here? Why so much innovation is covered here? And we feel that the answer lies in the deep technology that Israeli entrepreneurs offer and develop. I think the density and connectivity and diversity of this ecosystem, as I discussed before, which allows automotive companies, automotive startups to pivot into Industry 4 with different solutions. And we find companies that offer sensors in different areas, offer a solution, a tailored solution for those sensors also in industry. Same goes to AI solutions, same goes to other areas. And we figure out that the solution-oriented entrepreneurs is also a key drive, the ability to focus on a solution, understand the need, work with multinationals that offer an opening to global markets. All of that allows the entrepreneurs here to understand the needs, not just in their own country, but as many other entrepreneurs in the US or Germany or China do, but actually understand the needs, global markets, and think globally from day one. So how is that ecosystem developed? Well, I think that an ecosystem, as I said before, is based on three groups of players. The multinationals, the industrials, having R&D and manufacturing, like Intel or Siemens or Merck in Israel, automation vendors like SAP and others, and all of these really bring in the need. On the other hand, we have the investors, starting from accelerators and incubators to early stage companies, all the way to venture capital companies investing in early stage and late stage companies. These supply the capital for the growth and expenditure of these companies. But finally, an ecosystem needs also the participation of government, academia, and communities, all of which really help the ecosystem to collaborate better, to understand, to work together, and for government and academia to bring IP and push forward new technologies with high risks and promote them into industrial grade solutions, and allow government also, in the case of Israel, to support POCs, pilots, and other means to promote the different companies and help them thrive. I want to throw out to you these graphs because they tell a very important story. They tell the story of the growth of the sector from a financing perspective. Well, the list on your left is basically a list that shows the mature companies that have raised significant amounts in the Industry 4.0 sector. Companies like Wiliot doing harvest energy for RFID tags, Clarity and Aramis doing cybersecurity, Fabric doing automation robotics, Vire, sensors, and so on. All of these companies are no longer just startups, they are scale-ups, they are market niche leaders that you can find and are really dominating more and more areas in their domain. And you can see that all of that is really backed by the almost exponential growth of venture capital funds going into Industry 4.0 companies. We believe that this year, for the first time, the investments in the Industry 4.0 sector will surpass $1 billion for the first time. And just 5 years ago, we were at 200 million range. And finally, we need to look at what's also relevant for investors are the exit side. So last year, you can see over $1.5 billion in exits, and that does not include a second round financing for companies that have IPO'd, and you know that many companies have IPO'd. And also in 2021, we believe it will surpass again the 1 billion. And that's also a fuel that goes back to investors and then back to the ecosystem for early stage and new companies. Finally, I want to go down into more specific stories. So eventually, if you want to have Industry 4.0 solution, innovative solutions, young solution, we want to understand that industry wants proven solutions. And we went out and tried to cover over 100 different success stories of Israeli Industry 4.0 solutions applied worldwide, mostly by very significant, very large multinationals. And we mapped those according to the different industry verticals, as well as the different challenges in the value chain that these companies tackle. And this is again one of our online products. It's widely and freely available for you to find a relevant solution in your industry vertical for the specific solution you need and really understand how they solved it, for who they solved it, which companies, and what value it brought customers. I want to walk with you through 3 cases, just 3 out of over 100, and I guess over 300 altogether. We're still covering them. So the first one would be Percepto. Percepto is a drone company. The company that allows a drone out of the box or in a box that it really allows companies to deal with securing and monitoring assets in high-risk environment, in wide areas, and so on. And in this case, this covers cases that they have done in the chemical sectors for companies like Enel from Italy, or Florida Power and Light, and others. And the value they have brought in is really allowing safety measures and safety monitoring for different assets that work in very hazardous environments. The second story I want to touch on is a very interesting company called Augury. They were also on the list before. Augury is a leading predictive maintenance company, a company that really helps machine health to be monitored and prediction to be made in order to lower one of the key challenges for industry, and that's downtime. So they've been able, again, this is from the chemical, although they operate in 6 different industry verticals, that allows them to offer up to 50% reduction in machine downtime, up to 30% improvement in productivity and throughput, and 20% decrease in cost of quality. Again, you can go in and check out the different aspect and the full story. Finally, I want to touch on a different vertical, a company called Optimal Plus, which basically offers an IoT lifetime analytics to help quickly detect electronic supply chain defects in the automotive industry. Again, complex environment, automotive industry uses multiple sub-elements of electronic devices, from ADAS cameras to electrification, and also to welding. And all of these really are all covered in the solution that Optimal Plus offers to automotive companies, in this case, Vitesco and ZF. And again, there are many, many others, but these are all companies very mature, ripe for implementation. These are not companies that just started out and offer a very interesting technology that is yet to be proven. These are all companies that have tested, released products that are in use by global industries. Finally, I would like to end with the announcement I promised. Today, in order to foster the bridge I've talked to at the beginning, I would like to invite you into our own Israel Industry 4.0 community. Led by Adam Zawel, we have a community that hosts hundreds of Israeli companies and is also home for dozens of multinationals and several dozens of investors worldwide, alongside government and consultants and many others. And this community, with events online as well as offline, offers players, global players, to really engage with Israeli Industry 4.0 startup and players, to really engage and successfully find a solution and implement them. And today we announce the opening of a group within the community for Moroccan industry. Led by Tamar and Adam, we are waiting for you to join us and drive collaboration between Moroccan industry and Israeli Industry 4.0 innovative companies. Thank you very much, and over to you, Tamar.
And indeed, this announcement is the last part of your presentation. With this announcement is a real concrete, I would say, extension of the community of Israel Industry 4.0 to welcome our counterpart in Morocco and of course to facilitate the interactions, the collaborations, and the know-how best practice exchange. So if you want to know more about it, don't hesitate, and also to discuss in more details what Startup Nation Central can bring to you. You can of course visit the virtual booth of Startup Nation Central and have more details. And now I will take this part of the workshop to have a panel in order to zoom into some concrete companies that illustrate the use of Industry 4.0 and that could, of course, benefit to Morocco. So I'm here with Amit Dror, who is co-founder and customer success officer at Nano Dimension. Welcome. Danny Berko, chief customer officer at QC. Yaron Khalfon, VP sales at TrueNovate, and Enis Abu Al-Hassan, head of business development at CH Technologies. Thank you very much for being here with us to talk more about your company. My first question will be if you can present yourself, your company, and how you have concretely used Industry 4.0 and brought it to reality through solutions. Amit, first.
Okay. Thank you, Tamar. And hello, everyone. I'm actually very excited and honored to be on this first interaction with our Moroccan partner. I look forward to have some business. And the topic of Industry 4.0 is a very big topic. I already heard my colleagues here. We're all going to give different aspects of how the innovation of our different technologies can help to promote and assist different companies, and maybe with new colleagues from Morocco, to push things forward. As for Nano Dimension, I actually one of the co-founders, and we started the company about 7 years ago. Today, Nano Dimension has about 200 employees. We have headquarters aside of Israel, also in the US, Germany, Hong Kong, and we're already operating worldwide. The story of Nano Dimension, and especially in the context of Industry 4.0, has to do with the aspect of the electronics parts. We know that today the world is moving more into digitalization in manufacturing processes, but of course also the products that all of us are using, whether it's home appliances like this remote control I'm holding, and whether it is on automotives, and of course medical devices, defense, and actually in every industry, everything becomes with electronics. While Industry 4.0 is talking about how there is going to be more localization in smart manufacturing, we still have this challenge of where does the circuit board, the PCB and the chips, where are they coming from? And actually, as of today, and especially in the last 2 years, we all saw how electronics, which is manufactured mostly in Asia Pacific, specifically in Taiwan and China, well, it's a little bit of something that you have to wait for. And the story of Nano Dimension is about additive manufacturing of electronics, or 3D printing of electronics, and not just electronics, also of micro-mechanical parts, very small parts that can be used for packaging and other elements within the electronics industry. And the concept is very simple. If today, for the electronic parts that we are required to bring into our manufacturing lines, we have to order from our manufacturer in Taiwan, for example, and we have to wait and we have to have stock, then the concept of Nano Dimension is to use additive manufacturing and to produce it almost on demand on our production line. So if we look at this presentation, we can see the machines that we're using. It's industrial 3D printers. The one on the left is the Dragonfly system that is actually printing two different materials. One is the conductive ink, which creates the conductive traces, and one is the dielectric, and we can make multi-layer PCB circuit boards. In just one sentence, I will say that the way it works is very different to the conventional manufacturing method. We're actually using nanomaterials for the ink, and we have these printheads that create droplets and create those traces almost in parallel. You can see different kind of solutions which are being produced. For example, high-frequency antennas or miniaturizations of different circuits. Our technology can actually print and create capacitors and all kinds of elements. And of course, the advantage is that the system can print it on demand from a digital file. In the future, this, we believe, is going to be the technology that will reduce the time on production line, especially where digitalization plays a significant role, which is part of Industry 4.0. At the moment, our main focus is mostly to work with researchers. We work with academia. We work with researchers on the automotive industry, on defense, and so on. And with that, I will give this to my colleague here.
Thank you very much, Amit. And indeed, it comes very well with what we have heard so far in this event since yesterday, with Morocco's focus on what is called made in Morocco, made with Morocco. So we will come back to that later on, but that will probably very well resonate. So we have seen one potential concrete illustration of Industry 4.0 with nano-dimension. What about QC, Danny, and your company and solution, and how Industry 4.0 is implemented by your solution?
So first and foremost, thank you very much. I'm honored and excited to be part of this panel. Ahlan wa sahlan. So I'm Danny. I'm a QC Chief Customer Officer, and QC was established in 2018 in a purpose to help continuous and batch process manufacturing improve the productivity. And as a matter of fact, not only improve the productivity, but also save operational costs. In essence, when we look on the entire supply chain, from the raw materials to the end product, we see that this is a very complex and long cycle. And during this long cycle, many inefficiencies occur. These inefficiencies result in loss, excessive waste, excessive energy consumption, environmental pollution, and so on and so forth. So this is exactly where QC comes into the picture. Our main objective is to minimize those inefficiencies and save operational costs. What we do is very similar to the prediction of a baking process. I call it a piece of cake. If you want to bake the best cake in the world, you are going to buy the best ingredients in the world, and that is equivalent to the raw materials in the plant. Then you need to buy the best mixer and the oven and the cooking book, which are equivalent to the machines, the Industry 4.0, or the automation layer in the plant. Still, with the best ingredients and the best tools, it's very difficult to guarantee that the outcome is going to be exactly what you are aiming at. Is the cake going to be with the right texture? Is it going to be sweet enough? Is the cake going to be identical to the cake you baked an hour ago or a day before? So that's exactly what QC does. The technology is called process or product quality controls. And in essence, we give you a heads up that something is not going to be okay in the next few hours in your production. Then we give you a prediction. The cake sweetness, the cake's texture, the cake other parameter is not going to be according to what you expect. But most importantly, QC unique value proposition is the prescription, the recommendation, what you need to do ahead of time to make sure that the cake turns perfect. please add 2 spoons of sugar, please speed up the mixer 10% up, or reduce the temperature 5 degrees down. Now, while we harness artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, the QC technology is very different than other technology types. First and foremost, we are not intrusive. We don't connect to the SCADA or to the machines. For example, with regards to predictive maintenance, where the predictive maintenance focuses the well-being of the machine, QC caters the entire supply chain. And with regards to process optimization, well, the focus is on a single operation point. QC caters the entire root cause analysis for that. So in essence, it's a little bit different, and it can contribute to the successful digital transformation journey that we've heard from Yariv and other speakers before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I like also your use of the baking process, which relates very well to Morocco being the country of gastronomy and the worldwide country of gastronomy. And we will see concrete example of application later on. So we have talked about R&D process. We have talked now about predictive quality control. Now with Yaron and Trunovate, what kind of other application we can have and what you are proposing with your solutions?
Okay. Thank you very much, Tamar. My name is Yaron. I'm honored to be here. So hello everyone, and warm greetings from Israel. I represent Trunovate. We are providing smart MES and industrial IoT solutions. So in the end, we perform with best visibility, better results, and give you insight of your shop floor. So a little bit about Trunovate. So we are an innovative IoT company providing MES solution to help plants monitor their entire process, manufacturing process, from the raw material until the end goods, and to have better quality and to have better results with the same machines, with the same people, and to have better quality of their products. So basically, our solution is divided to 4 platforms. The first one is the MES, is the manufacturing execution system, which means we get all the data from the machines, from the processes, and we present it to the operator, to the management, and so on. The second level is the MOM, the manufacturing operation management. So after we get all the data, we want to analyze it. We want to have better results, and we want to have a better decision how we can improve our manufacturing processes in order to have better results, to have better quality, to have more productivity with the same machines, with the same power that we are using. So after we had all this information, the next step is to gather another parameters that we are using, the IIoT hub in our platform, that enables us to give the whole picture of the manufacturing processes, including the humidity, the temperature, and other technologic parameters that are evolving and are a part of the manufacturing processes. We Trunovate, we live and breathe manufacturing. This is our specialty. And a little bit more about our platform. So the name is Plant Shop. It is our own design. It is a modular platform. It is a web-based. Plants can use it whether on SaaS on cloud or whether on on-premise installation. We can suit the solution to each customer DNA, whether you are a pharma, whether you are a plastic plant, whether you are in a food, in agriculture, or a discrete manufacturing. Our solution will fit exactly to your needs and will help you improve your results in matters of weeks, and you will have improved and true ROI with our solution. We also, as we said, we can give you an IoT full visibility of your technologic parameters like humidity, temperature, waste, and so on. And also can control your energy and other parameters like getting your QA and laboratory test alongside in your platform. We invest a lot in our graphic user interface, and you can see that we are evolving, and basically at the end of the process, the manager and the operator get all their information that they need in their application, whether it's tablet, whether it's in their iPhone, and get all the information they need online and 24/7. And to conclude, we can see here the figures that plants get with our solution. This is extraordinary number and figures that bring true ROI to your plants. So thank you once again, and we are most excited to be here.
Thank you, Yaron. So here we have covered smart manufacturing monitoring combined with IIoT. What we have missed or we have not covered, which you have a solution to with Siraj.
For inviting me, and I'm really happy to be part of this panel, and thank you all for attending this amazing and first time for Israeli companies to be able to talk directly with Moroccan companies. Hello and marhaba to all of you. My name is Anis Abu Al-Hassan. I am the head of business development at Siraj, and as my colleagues spoke before about how you can gain value from the data, I will be speaking more about how to easily get the data. To start, Siraj is a startup company that leverages deep learning to automate device connectivity to the cloud, and by so enable you to access your data and extract value from it. A short introduction about our company. We are a startup founded in 2016 with a vision to bridge the gap between OT and IT, and to allow connectivity and data exchange from the bottom of the shop floor and to the top of the ERP systems and the management. We are growing, and we currently employ 25 employees and have 3 patents for our unique connectivity solution. And we are also graduated from Quantum Spark Accelerator Program, a highly prestigious program sponsored by VDL, Hyundai, and Tavora Livnat. And we are also backed up by the Israel Innovation Authority for our unique approach to solve this challenge. So, as you might know, the number of devices that are being connected is growing from each year, and by the end of 2025, they are expected to grow to 34 billion devices. And there's a huge market for connecting these devices, but still there's more than 60% of IoT initiatives that stall at the proof of concept stage. And this is mainly due to a couple of challenges that needs to be addressed. The first one is limited internal expertise. Not all of the factories have operation technology guys and IT experts that can bridge the gap between the MES systems and the ERP systems and communicate with PLCs and devices. And there are many systems that exchange data. And this is basically mainly due to the huge variety of communication protocols and the data formats that each device communicates and extracts data through. And what this causes, it causes us to have a longer period of onboarding and creating the project, and that's why they start. And basically, we can sum it as lack of standardization. And the current solution to solve this is basically to develop manually adapters for each machine specific protocol. And this takes a lot of energy and time and consumes a lot of resources. That's why we at Siraj decided to have a different approach to this solution. And as you can see in this slide, what our solution is, it's a connectivity solution. It's a software gateway that is able to communicate with different machines at the plant that speak different communication protocols. The extracted data is learned and analyzed by our AI engine to understand the structure of the data, the variables, and what is the value within the data, and then transform all the incoming data streams into one stream so that an application like my colleague spoke about to create an OEE from all the machines from the plant, we unify this data so they can analyze it and create value from the data itself. To make it very, very simple, we can look at it like this. They have a lot of machines, each one speaks a different language. Like now we are in Morocco, we are in Israel, you are in Morocco, and we have 4 different languages that are connecting us. But for us to understand each other and extract value from the communication from the word, we need to speak in one language or have a lot of translators to translate all of those words. And this is basically how we approach this challenge, and we believe that without connectivity, Industry 4.0 will not advance. And I would like to add one last thing. Industry 4.0 is not a product. It's a vision, and you can't buy it, but you need to adapt it and grow with it. With all of our partners in the same ecosystem, each one of us brings different value to the sector in order for companies and factories to be able to compete more and excel in their market. Thank you, Tamar.
Okay, thank you. So it's just a taste that we had of some concrete illustration here, but you all 4 of you have a virtual booth with your company at this event, so you already had interactions, but I invite the audience to connect with at your booth in order to learn more and to see in more details how the collaboration could happen. Now, as the last part of this workshop, I would like now to come to some concrete use case or application that is relevant, that are relevant for Morocco. And if you can start, you spoke about the R&D before, if you can start, Amit, with what you see as a potential illustration for Morocco and usage of your solution.
Okay. So I will start by referring to a case we had maybe about 1 year ago, and then a few more came, when a lot of medical related companies wanted to develop new sensors, some of them very complex, that required miniaturization with multiple layers of conductive traces, one on top of the other. And there was an issue, a big challenge to get things done very fast, as it was related to COVID. And the reaction time from China was very slow at the time. So we were able to work, and some of our customers using our technology were iterating and making changes, rapid changes every day. And they managed to reduce the development time of those sensors from several months to just a few weeks altogether. So this is one example, and I would like to refer to this example when I'm thinking about potential collaboration with colleagues from Morocco. I would probably indicate that any research center that deals with communication, 5G technology, whether it's on academia or whether it's in some of the industries mentioned beforehand, we might be able to think together about some kind of collaboration in the way that some of our system can help our colleagues to reduce the development time, research and development time, to reach a product and go to market.
Okay, great. So I think it will surely resonate, the example that you gave, because during this COVID period, Morocco has demonstrated its ability and its clear direction under the Made in Morocco approach to invest in building and manufacturing some medical device, for example, cope with COVID. So they have, for example, manufactured medical devices that they did not before and that were imported. So you concretely here explain how your solution helps to both accelerate the R&D process and by that way accelerate the time to market of new product as well. So thank you very much. Danny, with QC, what kind of use case you see in different perhaps industries and the potential of Morocco for QC?
Okay, so besides baking cakes, and any bakery can benefit from QC technology, of course, but in essence, we are serving continuous and batch process manufacture, and I will also relate to the benefit that QC can bring to Morocco. So if we are speaking about use cases, I'd like to start with a use case of building material, and it could be that's the right slide, sorry. So it could be cement plant that I'm going to discuss soon, but it could be glass, gypsum, metals, or any other building materials plant. In this specific example, we are helping cement plant to predict ahead of time a 28-day cement strength. Cement strength is critical and under regulation because the plant needs to plan the amount of raw materials and energy to invest in this cement strength, and usually many safety measures are taken to achieve it. Now, what QC helps with is to reduce the energy consumption and increase the productivity both by roughly 10%, and that's a direct contribution to the bottom line of the factory. But more importantly, or as importantly, QC helps also to the sustainability of the factory, because the building materials industry is responsible for more than 7% of the global CO2 pollution. And by reducing the amount of energy required to produce the right amount of, or the right criteria of the cement, we help also reduce the amount of CO2 pollution and help not only the plant sustainability, but also to our planet. Another example relates to the chemical industry, and this is fertilizers, but it could be paints, adhesives, food additives, and so on and so forth. In this example, we are helping our phosphorus acid plant increase the yield by more than 50%, but the indirect contribution is achieving a stable process. It means less downtime, it means better utilizations of raw materials, and so on and so forth. So these are two concrete examples, but I'd like also to address the contribution to the Moroccan evolution or success in the digitalization era. So while we address currently the North American and European, we reach out also to Morocco partners and end customers with regards to building materials, chemicals, and so on and so forth. We think that we can contribute a lot to three major aspects: the productivity increase, the sustainability improvement, and the quality. The quality also is a big measure in creating an edge for Morocco. And I think another aspect that can be contributed also is the human resource, because in the production or in the manufacturing industry, it's very difficult to recruit young generation. And the older generation that has a lot of knowledge, we need some kind of mechanism to share the knowledge in a digital way between the older generation to the younger generation, and make sure that Morocco can live the knowledge within Morocco and it's not lost. So this is another contribution of QC to the fact.
Thank you very much, Danny, and thanks also to have mentioned the contribution on reducing the pollution and the CO2 pollution. As for Morocco, it's clearly a country where the decarbonization was a priority and has brought Morocco to a leading position as a country in the region and known worldwide. And it's important, while moving to made in Morocco approach, not degrading this position, and you illustrated that with your use case. Thank you very much. Yaron, with TrueNovate, what kind of application and use case we can think about?
Yes. Okay. So at TrueNovate, we really help businesses gain profit from their manufacturing processes. So the first example is, I believe everybody knows of Netafim. Netafim is a worldwide organization. It has 16 plants worldwide. All of these plants are using our solution, our MES solution. We have one of the plants in Africa. And everybody is talking about agriculture, and everybody wants to get more of their economics. And one of the slogans of Netafim is grow more with less. And this is exactly what we do with TrueNovate and Netafim. We help them process and manufacture more with less efforts and less energy and less consumption. And as you can see, one of the quotes there that they are having the ability to produce more and have the better quality of their products with our solution. Second example I would like to share is an Israeli company called Ecoshield, speaking about medical devices before. So Ecoshield is a very unique company, has a very unique technology of medical devices in the oncologic sector. And with our solution, they were able to produce more than 4 times of their processes before. So if the average process was about 800,000 units per month, so today they have the ability to produce more than 3 million units per month. So we see there the enormous ROI they're getting from our solution with our products, with our better visibility of their processes, and to help them get better results in matter of weeks and months. So this is not a slogan for us. This is something that we believe in. And like my colleague said before, Industry 4 is not a product, it is a method. It is something that you need to do in a matter of a long term. But we truly believe in it, and we see the results in every day in our customers.
Thank you, Yaron. And indeed, what I said about nano dimension for the R&D process in the medical industry applies for your solution contributing to the manufacturing and productivity. And Netafim is another example which is known in Morocco, being one of the first company which has done business and established in Morocco. So I wish you to do the same soon there as well. Enis, we have other potential use cases, and you have one which is quite interesting as well, and which will resonate to Morocco as well.
As everyone here explained about their use cases, and each use case has a specific value and how to get the data and what to do with the data. And what I want to bring a use case from a provider's position in this matter. It's Siemens for us with their Valor software solution for the PCB manufacturing. So for the PCB manufacturing, Siemens provides an end-to-end solution for the PCB manufacturing, from manufacturing to testing and inspection machines, and the data from ERP, planning, resources, everything for the whole process of the manufacturing. And as an industry leader, every customer or most of the customers in the PCB manufacturing business, they want to have this software solution as part of their manufacturing process. But as I said before, what they will face is that there are each customer comes with their unique set of machines that each one of them communicates differently, and creates data in a different structure. And at the end, in order to use the Valor software solution, all the data should be normalized into a ODB++ format, which is a format unique to Siemens, unique to Valor. And in order to succeed, they need to do this in a shorter time. And the current solution that they are using is to manually develop adapters for specific machines that are mostly used in this industry. And this takes them up to 2 weeks. And with Siraj, with our solution, what we were able using our AI engine, we are able to connect to allow Siemens to connect to more machines, extract more data, and to do this in a shorter period of time, exactly by up to 80% reduction in time and resources. And this is the same for every manufacturer who wants to adapt or to add a new technology or a new platform to his factory. With our solution, it will be easier, and we can help you to take your data to any platform, any cloud platform, or any application, so you can extract value and optimize your processes to monitor all your assets, and to make this in a really fast and at low cost. And we would be happy to take part in the Moroccan market and help them adopt more and more Industry 4.0 technologies. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. But you clearly mentioned something which is related to a software solution, which do not require too much changes in the existing system or adding devices to the different machines or in connection with different systems in order for that to work, right?
For this, I think it's a short question, but it has a long answer. If we look at the Industry 3.0, which is the last industrial revolution, we were introduced with the computers and automation. And what we believe is most of the companies, the factories right now, they all have some sort of automation. They have the data to create, to manufacture, but not to optimize their process of manufacturing. So the data exists, and most of the computers are existing. Regarding our solution, we have two different approaches. The first one is to be on-premise for some of the companies who has a private internet in their factories, who does not want to be connected to the outside internet. We have an on-premise solution, but we also have an on-the-cloud solution that can be our software solution can sit on the cloud and be accessed by the factory, and using a specific they will use a gateway hardware to connect all the factory, but the data itself will be delivered to the cloud, and all the processing, the process of understanding the data and delivering it will be used in the cloud. Therefore, you don't really need a lot of hardware within the factory itself, because you have it an access in the cloud.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure this will give the opportunity to the audience to have the first taste in order to come back to you later on through your booth and to connect with you after the event. I really want, as a Moroccan born in Rabat, to thank you and to say how much it was with a special emotion a pleasure for me to lead this workshop. And if there are questions in the audience over on your side, Madame Khadija, we will address them. Otherwise, we will give you the stage back over to you.
Yes, and I would like to really thank you, dear Tamar, for this emotional closing. I had like many remarks over the very interesting presentations, and I learned a lot with your guests today. And I just want to tell you this, like, above all and before all, as dear Anat mentioned it before, it's a matter of a human relationship before business relationship, and before having business opportunities, like shared business opportunities. I think we have more than this, that Moroccans and Israeli businessmen or just citizens share a lot. Well, thank you again. I do believe, do we have any questions for the guests from Tel Aviv? Yes, and somebody has something to say as well. He's the president of the FIMME, who organizes the E-SISTEP. You thanked him before, Tamar, and I think he wants to say something. Tariq, please join the stage. Tariq Aitri.
Tamar, I would just like to seize the occasion to say a big thank you to you, to Startup National Central, for all the support and promotion you've done for this edition of the E-SISTEP. We are so pleased to have all of your guests with us. It was very interesting, actually, workshop. I learned a lot, and it happens not so often that I learn a lot. But this was so interesting, and I see, I think there are a lot of opportunities for both Israeli side and Moroccan side companies to collaborate on these very edge technologies that, well, all your guests have described to us. So again, Toda raba, and thank you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Tariq. Tu m'étonneras toujours. Excellency Ambassador Govran, thank you again. Enat Levy, thank you. And thank you all, dear audience online, for following this workshop. Tomorrow is the third and final day of E-SISTEP, but I do believe we're going to have much more to learn, Tariq, and to seize opportunities. Have a wonderful evening to you all, and see you tomorrow, inshallah. Bye.